Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Ace, and I'm back with another reaction video. Here we go. All right, so first of all, I gotta say Happy New Year, everybody. I hope your 2021 went well, and I hope your 2022 goes even better. I have to apologize. I haven't been doing many reaction videos since the start of the new year. I am currently in the process of moving, and that's been consuming much of my time. However, when I finally get to where I'm going, which will be very, very soon, I'll be able to do more reaction videos the way that I have always intended to do them. So yeah, that explains where I've been. This video is basically a wrap up and analysis of Queen 1973. Finally got through that album. Yeah, and it was what a journey it was. And let me just go ahead and get into it before I move on to Queen 2. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. All right, Queen 1973. What a journey it was. The sonic diversity of this album here is incredible. This album gives you a little bit of everything from like hard rock to light rock to rock theater to blues to Saturday Night Teenage Rebellion. You know, this album is literally just a smorgasbord of sound. And again, I'm in love with those transitions that existed on virtually every song. They really made that album that much more exciting. From track to track, you really didn't know what was coming next. Furthermore, one must give this album credit for presenting then fringe styles that hadn't been fully mainstreamed yet, like punk and heavy metal. In some ways, I think this album predicts what was going to trend next, like within the next 5 to 10 years. With this album coming out in 1973, I also think that it was perhaps one of the first notable albums where like the overall music scene had shed its skin of the previous decade and began to reflect a new era. I noticed that with like the third year of every new decade, it really tends to begin like the pop culture climate of the current decade, whereas the first few years like are like transition periods. I think Queen 1973 really seems 70s. It seems like modern day, present day 70s. It doesn't seem like, you know, something that could have come out in 1969, if that makes any sense. While all the members vitally contributed to the overall picture, I think it's pretty accurate to say that Freddie and Brian were the principal architects here. What makes the album so interesting is how both men seem to come with their own individual concepts that were very different. Brian's writing was more, I want to say it was more introspective and thought-provoking, whereas Freddie's writing was more fanciful and imaginative. Brian's material, I think, humanized the album, while Freddie's made it more mystical and exciting. I like how they, even though both came from a very different place, they still brought their A game on material that they themselves didn't conceptualize. Freddie didn't seem at all bored with Brian's material, despite how it came from more of a perspective of like a sort of a everyman. You know, he still sang it like he wrote it. And Brian didn't seem at all off put by Freddie's eccentric, more spirited material, and he still brought his A game with the guitar, with his guitar prowess. Meanwhile, John and Roger, I think they played like they were in the zone, you know, providing like an essential secret sauce that ultimately made the whole thing gel. You know, the teamwork that was displayed on this album was very inspired. Nothing felt lazy or automated. My least favorite song on the album would be Son and Daughter. You know, I just thought it was too random and uncoordinated. It was a bit crass, and I have no problem with crass, but it was just something about it that felt kind of off. You know what I mean? It just, in the end, I think the song comes off as very sort of petulant and not fully cooked. The Night Comes Down. So it's a cool and chill song. I really like the high notes that Freddie hits during the verses. It had a tendency to lag a bit, but I appreciate the interpersonal lyrics. The album probably needed a more down-tempo song amongst the more hyper and experimental songs on it, so ultimately it did its thing. Keep Yourself Alive is a fun song. I like the simple yet bold, brassy, and straightforward rock pop sound with the overlaying vocals. I see why it was chosen as a single. It's probably the most commercial song on the album. I think it's a perfect song to start the album with. It really kind of gets you pumped, gets you going, gets you energetic. So yeah, Keep Yourself Alive is a cool song. I like it. Great King Rat. So I like the spastic, frenzied tone to it. Freddie's vocals come off as very hectic and big, matched with the spastic tone of the music. Again, the song, it's kind of ironic and eerie with Freddie remarking that the Great King Rat died of syphilis at age 44, all things considered. But yeah, Great King Rat is definitely a standout moment on the album. Jesus. So Jesus was compelling to listen to. The way Freddie sang it in an almost preaching tone alone made the song avant-garde. I always find it interesting when artists use biblical references in their music. And the march tone, I think, just made it stand out that much more. I think the song overall is very unorthodox and very, I want to say, innovative. So yeah, Jesus is definitely another standout moment on this album. So with everything else on the album being from the mind of either Freddie or Brian, this Roger song I think throws a needed curveball to the album. The song, it really captures the essence of guileless youth and free-spirited rock and roll in an early punk sort of a way. And Roger taking the lead with his grittier tone and more excitable cadence, I think makes the song that much more remarkable. So I like Seven Seas of Rye because of the jam session setup. Much as we love to hear Freddie sing, I liked him taking the role of like the instrumentalist alongside the other four. The keys were alluring and exciting. I loved the bright, animated yet still hard tone of the instrumentation. So yeah, Seven Seas of Rye was cool. I like Seven Seas of Rye. So along with Keep Yourself Alive and Maybe Doing All Right, Liar feels like one of the more popular and commercial songs on the album. I like the soft subtlety of the verses set against the full-on hardness of the chorus. So the color and complexity of this song is stunning. The fairy tale vibe of it is very utopian and otherworldly, all topped off with these very perfect vocal harmonies. The Mercury references and the lyrics, I think, make it seem like not only a defining moment of the album, but of Freddie Mercury, the entertainer, and also the man. This is my favorite song on the album. To me, this song speaks to the human spirit. Someone putting on a I'm okay face for other people while not exactly knowing where they're going or what tomorrow is going to bring for them. It's such a bittersweet song, and the way Freddie sings it, it really kind of makes you want to hug the protagonist. The breezy, gentle, and melodic flow of it is just perfect. Yeah, this song is definitely my number one song on the album. This is just everything about it, the elements, the tone, just it all came together and it gelled so well. And I know that this was originally a Smile song, but Queen, they came and they remade it and they really kind of shaped it into what I would basically call perfection. So yeah, Doing All Right, my number one. So this was a pretty damn good album. It's my understanding that this album didn't do so well upon its release, in that it wasn't something that catapulted the band to the heights of commercial success. But I think it was a very earnest and admirable effort. I will say that Freddie and Brian's sonic visions on the album tended to humbly clash, resulting in it not ultimately having a solid theme or a cohesive sound. There are a plethora of, I want to say, potentially defining moments on the album, but not really much of a defining theme. However, it's my understanding that with Queen, you never really know what you're going to get next. So perhaps this album is just like an early indicator of that sort of unpredictability that you're going to get with these guys. I haven't heard enough of Queen's later material, and this is the only album of theirs that I've listened to from start to finish. But I'm thinking that their later albums will probably mesh together better, even with the style differences of the members. On this album, though, you can hear that they are still kind of figuring some things out and arranging the deck chairs and trying to get some things together. So, again, I think this album was very earnest. I think it was very sincere. It's kind of all over the place, but at the same time, it's Queen. Again, my favorite song on the album is Doing Alright, which Brian wrote. But, despite how his material was probably easier for the casual listener to take in, I have to say that I enjoyed Freddie's material more overall. His material just tended to be more provocative, exciting, and lit. So my overall grade for the album is going to be a B+. Even though it is not particularly cohesive in sound, the album I don't think is at all hindered by that. It's sonically diverse, it's colorful, it's very genuine. I didn't hear anything phony or disingenuous. You can hear their innate talent, you can hear their intellectual fortitude, their callow youthfulness and optimism. It's all sort of mixed in together. So yeah, this I think is absolutely a must-have for everybody who is getting into Queen. But how do you feel about it? How do you feel about Queen 1973, the debut album? Leave me some comments, like and subscribe, and until next time, peace.